Hello and welcome to the Market Minute. My name is Eric Odom. I'm the principal real estate broker for ROI Commercial Property Brokerage in Tampa, Florida. And today we have with us Fernando Perez. Fernando has been a regular on our blogs, our video blogs over the years. In fact, has one of the most popular video blog we've ever done in terms of hits. Fernando is a Florida super lawyer. He's appeared on Fox News and Univision to discuss matters of immigration. And he also was named as one of the top international real estate attorneys by Tampa Bay Magazine. So thank you so much, Fernando, again for joining us, and appreciate you coming.
Always my pleasure.
All right, so we've talked already. We've had a couple of different chances to sit down and discuss the E2 and the EB5. You had mentioned the L series. And let's talk a little bit about the L1A series and what that means, and from a 30,000 foot level, what exactly is an L1A visa?
Well, very briefly, it's a category of visa that was created so that foreign companies could establish a subsidiary or affiliate in the United States and transfer executive or managerial personnel to the U.S. entity to further their interest in the United States. That's basically what it comes from.
So it's corporations established in their home country, and they're wanting to establish something in the U.S. Now, are there country restrictions, for example?
No.
So if it's from Libya?
Anywhere.
Pakistan?
Anywhere.
Okay, anywhere.
Anywhere.
And so let's talk about some of the requirements that you need to be able to get this visa. Okay.
Well, they're pretty straightforward. The first requirement is there has to be an actively operating business in a foreign company, in a foreign country. And what I mean by actively operating, it has to be more than simply a registered company. The company has to be actively engaged in doing some business, either delivering services, manufacturing a good, for profit. And that foreign company would have to be in existence for at least a year. So that's your first component. Second component is they have to establish a company in the United States. And the company in the United States can be a parent, a subsidiary, an affiliate, or a branch of the foreign company. The person that they're seeking to bring over had to have been employed by the foreign company for at least 1 year in a managerial or executive capacity. And they have to be coming to the United States also to function for the U.S. company in a managerial or executive capacity.
In the same industry, or can it be?
It can be completely different. It's one of the great things about this is that you can have a manufacturing facility in Germany, but yet that same company can set up a subsidiary or affiliate in the United States that runs an ice cream shop or a restaurant.
Yeah, restaurants.
Could be anything.
Interesting. But probably more likely what we would see this type of relationship with is a manufacturing company in Germany, for example, and they're wanting to control their distribution here in the United States. I think it's probably going to be a little bit more common.
Well, yes. What you typically see with the larger companies, you see that either they're coming here because they want to facilitate distribution here in the United States, manage sales in the United States a little bit more hands-on. Maybe it's a product that requires training for the sales force, so they want to have people here that are able to train the sellers of the product. And then you also have foreign companies who simply want to set up a U.S., whether it's like the auto industry, or a lot of times you have a foreign company, they decide, okay, I'm going to set up a manufacturing facility in the United States and I'm going to make some of my cars there. Different things like that.
Well, let's talk, because we've had this example where last time I was in London, we were speaking with a local restaurateur that had a number of Indian restaurants in London, had asked about perhaps that I guess he vacations here, and asked about opening an Indian restaurant in the U.S. Would that qualify?
Sure.
So
absolutely.
he'd send his son or his cousin over, as long as he's working with the restaurant in an executive capacity, and could open his restaurant here and receive the visa.
That's correct.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. Terrific. Now, let's talk a little bit about types of industries that you've seen do this with, that use the L1A visa.
Oh gosh, I mean,
I think you mentioned a marble company that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in 30 years we've seen a lot, but the marble company is a good example because in the marble company, what happened is they were from a country, and the marble that they were selling and installing in the United States the marble from that was quarried from that country was more brittle than the typical marble that, say, we might see here from Italy or from wherever. And so in that particular situation, that company set up a U.S. subsidiary. And what we did is we brought over one person as an executive to basically manage the U.S. operations, and then we brought over 15 marble installers, which are basically unskilled labor. I mean, you know, they're you know, they don't have college degrees or anything like that. They have specialized knowledge, and that's one of the other criteria of the L, is that you can bring people here because they're going to function as a manager or executive, but you can also bring people over here because they have knowledge that is unique to your particular product or service. And so you can bring them over here to do that, and that's what we did with these marble layers.
Gotcha. And the visa is a little different from the E2 and the EB5 because there's really no profit requirement or investment requirement like there are with those two visas, correct?
That's correct. You know, the E2, as you know, you have to make an investment in the United States. You have to demonstrate that you've got, you know, money out of pocket. Even though there's no minimum, you still have to show that you've invested something. You also have to show that within 5 years your U.S. Investment is going to generate more than a minimal living income for the investor. So that's the focus of the E2. Here, the focus is the person coming over here is going to function in a managerial or executive capacity. So they don't really care how much you spend to set up the U.S. operation. They don't really care how profitable the U.S. operation is. We've had situations where, as we mentioned before, where the U.S. operation is merely being created to facilitate the function of the foreign company, and all they're doing is sending enough money over here, or it's generating enough money over here just to cover expenses, because all the sales are still being handled overseas. So there's no requirement under the L that you post any certain amount of profit here in the United States.
Terrific. So is there anything else in the L that you'd like to point out that we haven't discussed already?
Well, one of the interesting features about the L is that only for manager executives, not for people with specialized knowledge. But if you're here as a manager or executive, after the U.S. operation has been in existence for a year, it then becomes possible for that manager or executive, if the company wants, to convert that L to a green card. And that's, you know, that's a nice plus, because if you're a foreign company and you bring a key person over here and this person's really doing a great job for you, you know, you don't want to be extending their L every couple of years, you know, if you're going to leave them here permanently. So at that point you've got the option, because there is a 7-year cap on the use of an L by a manager or executive. So if you are running out of that 7 years, or if you know after a couple of years that this person is really a good fit for your U.S. operation, well, then you can go through the process of getting them a green card under what's called the multinational executive category. But the criteria for the multinational executive category are exactly the same as the criteria for the L.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's just sort of summarize here the L1. And this is really for companies that are established overseas, wanting to establish some sort of business here in the United States, so they have to have it be established in their
well, but let's clarify the term established. Okay. Because I don't want people to think that this is only available to companies that have been around for a while. The company overseas only has to have been in existence for a year. So this isn't anything, you don't need a company that has been around for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You could have started this company a year ago. And if you're in a position right now to set up that U.S. subsidiary or affiliate, you're good to go.
Gotcha. So a year, the person that's getting the visa in executive capacity has to have been employed for at least a year.
That's correct.
And then you need to establish the organization here in the United States, would be a branch or a foreign health subsidiary or whatever it might be. So that's the primary criterion.
Right.
And unlike the E2 and the EB5, there's no investment criterion, and there is no criterion that it's going to be profitable to allow that visa to remain intact.
Exactly. Another thing that's really interesting about this is that in terms of the foreign employee over here with the L working in a managerial or executive capacity, the law basically gives you a year to make that happen. So when you first set up your U.S. operation and you first apply for the L, you don't really have to have too much going on in the United States. All you really need in the United States is you need to have formed the U.S. corporation. You need to have established the ownership relationship between the two corporations. You needed to have secured some kind of business premises in the United States. And you have to have a business plan that demonstrates how within 1 year your U.S. operation is going to be substantial enough to where your L1 employee is going to be working in a managerial or executive capacity. That's all you need. So then the person comes over here, and like I said, they have a year to get the operation going.
Okay, and your practice would assist them from beginning to end.
Sure.
Establish the company, apply for the L1, see them through the L1 process, and so really they're coming to you for
Right.
a turnkey solution.
Yeah, we do that, and we also like to get an idea of what their long-term goals are. You know, do you think you may want to get a green card for this employee a year or two down the road? Do you think that you'll want to bring over more executive personnel or personnel with specialized knowledge, just so that we can sort of get a game plan set up for them?
And again, we appreciate you having us today, hosting us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you about immigration matters, and today with the L1. Thank you so much for joining us today, Fernando.
It's always my pleasure, Eric. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you. I'm Eric Odom. I'm the principal real estate broker for ROI Commercial Property Brokerage. Looking forward to speaking with you again soon.